If there's one man on television who can take a 2-minute sports clip and turn it into a full-blown Shakespearean monologue, it's Stephen A. Smith. Loud, passionate, dramatic in all caps. He's ESPN's crown jewel of righteous outrage. A walking headline machine who can turn any topic into a 3-act play with villains, heroes, and a sermon in the final scene. And when Stephen A. decides to ride for someone, you better believe he's doing it with fire and fury. So when Shedeur Sanders was officially named first-team QB for the Cleveland Browns, and the critics immediately came crawling out of their hidey holes, guess who stood up and called all of them out by name? You guessed it, Stephen Smith.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
And he wasn't holding back. He didn't just defend Shedeur. He obliterated the doubters. With that classic Smith delivery, eyes bulging, hands slicing the air, voice escalating with every syllable, he declared Shedeur's rise as something the NFL needs to get used to. And honestly, he's not wrong. Because this isn't just about a rookie quarterback surprising people in training camp. This is about a system being disrupted. A mold being shattered. A spotlight being earned by someone who was never supposed to get it this fast. Let's get into it. Because the Shedeur Sanders story? Oh, it's way bigger than just a starting job. It's a football revolution in real time. Let's be real, Shedeur Sanders wasn't supposed to be here, at least not this quickly. When he got drafted in the 5th round, most people saw it as a nice moment. A respectful nod to his college success. Maybe a stash and develop type of pick. Someone you bring along slowly behind a seasoned vet. And for a moment that was the narrative. Until it wasn't. Because from the second Shedeur stepped onto the field for the Browns training camp, something shifted. And not in that he's got potential kind of way. More like, why does this kid look like he's been running this offense for 5 years? Let's break it down. He didn't just flash some talent and get lucky with reps. He walked into that huddle like he owned it. He didn't flinch. Didn't fade. Didn't ask for permission. He commanded. Receivers responded. Coaches took notes. Teammates, veteran teammates, started talking about his presence. His reads were fast, his throws were surgical, and his pocket presence? Calm as a monk in a thunderstorm. That's not just talent. That's readiness. And that's the part people keep missing. This isn't some social media hype train or legacy name bump. It's real. And that's what Stephen A. was screaming about in 4K on national television. Because the second Shedeur was announced as first-team QB, oh, the critics came out like clockwork. He's only there because of his dad. He's not ready for the pros. He didn't play against elite defenses in college. Translation? They were never going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And that's the pressure Shedeur's been living with for years. Because when your last name is Sanders, people expect greatness, but also love to root for your failure. Every throw you make is a referendum. Every mistake is a headline. And every success, somehow still questioned. But here's what they didn't count on. Shedeur can ball. Like actually ball. And not just on the field. He understands the game, the media, the locker room dynamics, the whole system. He's not just playing quarterback. He's operating on 3 levels: athlete, leader, brand. He's a triple threat. And he's treating this opportunity like a business merger. The Browns needed a new identity, and Shedeur walked in with the presentation ready. And let's not pretend this is normal. Rookies don't just take over NFL teams unless they're first-round picks dripping with hype. They don't take the number 1 reps in camp unless someone sees something special. And the Browns? They saw it. Not just in his mechanics but in his mindset. The way he studied the playbook. The way he corrected teammates without disrespect. The way he spoke during film sessions already thinking like a starter. And here's where the conversation gets interesting. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't just challenging the idea of who's ready. He's challenging what we think a quarterback is supposed to be. For decades the prototype was the same. Stoic. Reserved. Politically correct in press conferences. The guy who blends in, keeps his head down, and lets the media paint the picture. Shedeur? He paints his own picture. He's flashy, yes. Confident? Absolutely. But beneath the drip and swagger is a player who's put in the work. And that's what makes him dangerous. Because now you have someone who gets the media game, but doesn't let it distract from the real game. He's out there winning practices and interviews. Dominating huddles and hashtags. And he's not doing it with gimmicks, he's doing it with results. And don't get it twisted, this isn't just about personality. This is about performance. Insiders are raving about his ability to dissect coverage pre-snap. about how quickly he adapted to the speed of the NFL, about how he made throws veteran quarterbacks missed in similar drills. This isn't just a hot streak. This is the start of a new standard. And for the NFL, that should be both exciting and terrifying. Because Shedeur Sanders is proof that the league's usual metrics are outdated, that you can't judge leadership based on silence. That poise doesn't have to mean boring. That charisma isn't a distraction, it's a weapon. Shedeur's rise isn't just impressive. It's symbolic. It tells every young quarterback out there that you don't have to shrink yourself to succeed, that you can show up fully, personality, legacy, voice, and still earn your spot with merit. And the fact that Stephen A. went scorched earth on anyone doubting that? That's not just noise. That's a warning. Because the media tide has turned. The doubters are now on defense. The haters are clinging to "we'll see what he does in the regular season," like it's their last lifeboat. Which brings us to the big question. What will Shedeur do in the regular season? Let's not lie to ourselves, he's gonna make mistakes. Every rookie does. But the question isn't, will he struggle? The question is, what will he do after he struggles? And if his track record says anything, he'll bounce back like he never left. Because resilience isn't something you teach. It's something you earn. And Shedeur's been earning his since high school. Through the noise. Through the nepotism comments. Through the "he's just a social media QB" talk. He's heard it all. And yet here he is, first team, running the offense, leading a franchise that desperately needed direction, and smiling while doing it. So yes, Stephen A. Smith had every right to lose his mind. Because this isn't just a win for Shedeur. It's a win for the next generation. For the quarterbacks who are loud, proud, and unapologetically themselves. For the players who want to lead and be seen while doing it. For the fans who are tired of cookie-cutter press conferences and want stars who aren't afraid to sparkle. Shedeur Sanders is proof that a quarterback can be more than just a game manager. He can be a movement. He can be the moment. And he can do it all with confidence, control, and a little bit of chaos. So now it's your turn. Are you riding with Shedeur Sanders this season? Do you think he's about to shock the NFL? Or will the critics get their "I told you so" moment? Is this the start of a revolution, or just another hype cycle? Drop your hottest take in the comments. Like if you love seeing the NFL get flipped on its head. And make sure to subscribe because trust me, we will be following every single snap of the Shedeur Sanders show. And if Stephen A. is this fired up in preseason? You better believe the real fireworks haven't even started. You see, what's really fascinating about this moment, this Shedeur ascension, this takeover, this coup d'etat of the Browns quarterback room, isn't just that it's happening. It's how it's happening. Methodical. Swagger-filled. Loud in presence but surgical in execution. Like the whole thing was premeditated. And maybe it was. Maybe Shedeur knew all along he wasn't here to learn behind a veteran, or absorb the speed of the NFL from the sidelines. Maybe he never planned to wait his turn. Because why would he? He's been groomed for the spotlight since he could walk. Let's not forget, this is a kid who grew up watching his dad own stadiums and microphones in equal measure. A kid who had the media in his face before he even had a driver's license. A kid who's been carrying a camera crew and expectations on his back since college, and somehow never dropped either. So now that he's got an NFL offense in his hands, what did we think he was gonna do? Just smile, stay quiet, and let some overpaid vet take the job while he holds a clipboard in the rain? Nah. He pulled up to camp and said, "Watch this." And now everyone's watching. But here's where things get spicy, because while the Browns are basking in this sudden wave of media attention and fan optimism, let's not pretend they didn't hesitate. Let's not pretend they weren't just as cautious, just as skeptical as everyone else. You think the front office wanted this to happen? They drafted Shedeur in the 5th round. They were planning on easing him in, letting him sit, giving him the rookie experience. And then the rookie walked in and said, "Nah, I'm good. I'm ready now." And the thing is, he meant it. Because every throw in camp wasn't just a rep. It was a resume, a job interview, a statement. He wasn't throwing to impress. He was throwing to win, to snatch that starting spot right out from under whoever thought it belonged to them. And he did it without the coddling, without the soft rollout, without the training wheels. He walked into the NFL with the same confidence he had in Boulder, and instead of getting humbled, he got handed the keys. And now the league's in trouble. Because Shedeur Sanders is not your typical rookie quarterback. He's the product of the modern sports era. He's been media trained and mic'd up since day one. He knows how to read cover 2 and handle a hostile press conference. He knows how to slide in the pocket and trend on TikTok. He can adjust the protection and sell merch with a custom logo on the sleeve. That's not arrogance. That's adaptability. And whether people like it or not, that's the new prototype. The quarterback of the future isn't just a game manager. He's a franchise manager. He's part athlete, part CEO, part content creator, and part cultural force. And Shedeur? He checks every box. With sharp. But here's what people still don't understand. This isn't just about him. This is about everything he represents. Because for decades, the NFL has sold us one very specific image of what a franchise quarterback is supposed to be. You know the look. Clean cut. Polished. Quietly intense. Let's take it one game at a time. You know, the whole Tom Brady/Aaron Rodgers pre-podcast era vibe. And now here comes Shedeur Sanders. Not just playing the game differently, but living it differently. And a lot of people are uncomfortable with that. Because he's not hiding the flash. He's not downplaying the style. He's not giving media-trained nothings in his interviews. He's giving personality, presence, real talk. And that's exactly why people like Stephen A. Smith are going off on the haters. Because they see what's happening. They see the double standard being exposed. They see that Shedeur's rise is making certain people clutch their pearls. Not because he's failing, but because he's thriving in a way they weren't prepared for. He's succeeding without assimilating. And that scares the old guard. Because now, every high school QB who watches Shedeur dominate in style is gonna ask themselves, why can't I do it my way too? Why can't I show my personality? Why can't I start a brand while I study the playbook? Why can't I be confident and credible? And once those questions start getting asked, the NFL has to adjust. Not the other way around. Let's be real, this is how shifts happen. Not with a press release. Not with a rules committee. But with one player who refuses to shrink. And Shedeur Sanders? He's standing tall. But you know what's coming, right? The backlash. Because whenever a player breaks the mold, the critics start circling like vultures, waiting for the first stumble. One bad game? They'll pounce. One interception? Cue the "we told you he wasn't ready" headlines. It's a setup as old as the game itself. But Shedeur's not walking into it. He knows what they're waiting for. And he's preparing for it. You think he doesn't already have that media montage in his head? You think he hasn't visualized the hot takes, the headlines, the cheap shots? He's ready for all of it. Because Shedeur isn't just built to play quarterback. He's built to withstand the storm. And more importantly, he is the storm. He's what happens when talent, confidence, preparation, and unapologetic self-expression meet opportunity and take it by the throat. So let the debates continue. Let the doubters whisper. Let the anonymous quotes from sources inside the league float through the media cycle. None of it matters anymore. Because the moment Shedeur Sanders was named first-team QB, the story changed. It's no longer about what he might be. It's about what he already is. And whether people like it or not, the NFL is now living in the Shedeur era. Shedeur Sanders making first team isn't just a roster update. It's not a "hey, let's give the kid a shot" feel-good preseason moment. It's a seismic shift, a deep crack in the foundation of how the NFL talks about talent, identity, and leadership. And guess what? That crack is spreading. Because for every coach or analyst still clinging to intangibles and traditional mechanics, there's a wave of new players, new quarterbacks, watching Shedeur and taking notes. They're seeing a guy who didn't just break into the league. He kicked the door open, made himself a seat at the table, and then redecorated the whole damn dining room. Let's talk about the real reason this story is making people nervous. It's because Shedeur Sanders doesn't owe the system anything. He doesn't owe the media his silence. He doesn't owe the scouts their respect back. He doesn't owe fans a fake, scrubbed-down, emotionless persona to prove he's focused. He's focused, but he's not quiet. And that makes him dangerous to the status quo. See, for decades, the NFL has operated on this unspoken rule: earn your voice after you earn your stats. You can talk after you win. You can show personality after you prove yourself. You can lead after you've paid your dues. But Shedeur didn't wait. He walked in with presence, with self-worth, with a name, yes, but also with skills that back that name up tenfold. He didn't ask the league to believe in him. He made them watch. And then he delivered. And that is what drives people nuts. Because deep down, this league doesn't always know how to handle young black quarterbacks who show up with swagger and substance. There's a comfort in watching a new player struggle quietly. It fits the expected arc, the humbling, the growth season. But when someone skips that and walks into a QB1 spot with confidence and camera-ready charisma, now it's controversial. Now it's arrogance. Now it's overhyped. It's only a problem because it's not following the tired old playbook. But that playbook? Shedeur just tossed it in the shredder. You know what else is funny? A lot of these same analysts and talking heads who've been dragging him for months, they're already starting to flip. Like clockwork. You see it in the shift. The "he surprised me" takes. The "I've been high on him since day one" lies. Suddenly, everyone's a Shedeur believer. Everyone's scrambling to act like they saw it coming. But we remember. Oh, we remember. We remember the draft coverage calling him raw. We remember the commentary about off-the-field distractions. We remember the clips with forced chuckles about how Dion was hyping his kid too much. And now those same people are clutching to his jersey sales like it's stock in Apple. Let's call it what it is, hindsight clout chasing. But Shedeur doesn't need their approval now. Because it was never about proving them wrong, it was about proving himself right. And speaking of proving things, can we take a moment to acknowledge just how surgical he's been on the field? I'm talking about the footwork, the clean mechanics, the pocket movement that makes defensive lines hesitate. The reads, not just the flashy ones but the subtle ones. The way he manipulates safeties, times his throws, resets his base mid-play. This isn't improv. This is studied execution. It's quarterbacking at a high level, and it's not supposed to be coming from a fifth-round rookie who wasn't even projected to start this year. But here we are. And now the Browns, the Cleveland Browns, who haven't had a stable quarterback situation since the Bush administration, have someone who doesn't just look like the future. He feels like it. And yeah, we can joke about how desperate Browns fans are. But even they know, this isn't just another hot camp story. This feels different. Because this isn't just a guy showing flashes. It's a guy showing command. He's not asking for reps, he's owning them. He's not trying to find his voice in the locker room, he's already leading it. He's not navigating chaos, he's orchestrating it. And honestly, he's doing it all while barely breaking a sweat. So what does the rest of the season look like? Well, let's be real, it's going to be a war. Because now the expectations are sky high. Now the defenses are studying him. Now the narratives are waiting to pounce. One off day? They'll be ready. One bad quarter? The "told you so" headlines will hit like wildfire. That's the cost of being a revolutionary. The leash is shorter. The microscope is harsher. The applause is more conditional. But Shedeur? He's not just prepared for that. He's built for it. Because when you grow up in the Sanders household, you don't just learn footwork. You learn fortitude. You don't just study tape, you study legacy. And that's what Shedeur's chasing. Not flash-in-the-pan success. Not a highlight reel career. But legacy. And let me say this plainly. If he pulls this off, if he leads this Browns team to a winning record or even a playoff appearance, he won't just be one of the biggest stories of the season. He'll be the beginning of a movement. Because after Shedeur, the quarterback mold will never look the same again. You'll start to see teams prioritize presence the way they used to prioritize vertical jump. You'll see front offices start looking for leaders who can command a locker room and a post-game presser. You'll see young players realize they don't need to erase themselves to be accepted. And when that happens, that's when Shedeur Sanders goes from being a talented rookie to a transformative figure. So yes, Stephen A. Smith was loud, dramatic, explosive. But he wasn't wrong. This is bigger than football. This is cultural. It's generational. It's not just about a quarterback rising, it's about a system evolving. And Shedeur? He's not just playing in it, he's rewriting it. At this point, it's more than football. It's a cultural reset. Let's zoom out for a second. Shedeur didn't just make first team. He disrupted a dynasty of doubt. He didn't need a PR firm or a marketing campaign. He had his game, his voice, and his belief. That's it. And that was enough. You want to talk about intangibles? Let's talk about the emotional intelligence it takes to walk into a league that's been doubting you since draft day, stand in front of cameras, shake hands with veterans twice your age, and still own the moment like you've done it for years. That's presence. That's power. And honestly, that's scary for the people who've built their careers on gatekeeping the position. You know the ones. Analysts who swore the prototype had to be 6 feet 5 inches with no facial expression. Execs who treated quiet like a virtue and confidence like a red flag. They're rattled. And they should be. Because Shedeur didn't just get the job, he brought a whole new blueprint with him. One that says, yes, you can wear your chain and still read a blitz package. One that says, yes, you can promote yourself and put your head down when it's time to work. One that says, you don't have to erase your identity to be a leader. And the wildest part? He hasn't even played a regular season game yet. Let that sink in. He's already redefined the conversation before throwing a single touchdown that counts. That's not hype. That's impact. So what happens when he does step on that field for real? What happens when the lights are bright, the crowd's roaring, and the pressure turns up? I'll tell you. He's going to walk out there like he always does, calm, sharp, and just a little bit smug. Not because he's cocky, but because he knows he earned it. Every throw, every rep, every moment. And when he hits that first completion, when that first drive ends in 6, when the camera zooms in on that face and he gives that tiny little smirk like, "Told you?" It's game over. Not just for the defense, but for every old narrative that said he had to wait his turn. Because Shedeur Sanders didn't wait. He took his turn. And now the NFL belongs to the bold. So go ahead. Get comfortable. Grab your popcorn. The Shedeur Show is just getting started. And trust me, you're gonna want to watch every single second.